A Course in Miracles. Lesson 86. These ideas are for review today. 71. Only God's plan for salvation will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reached for it, it was not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I will undertake no more idle seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work, and I will rejoice because His plan can never fail. These are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this. This is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. Let me perceive this only in the light of God's plan for salvation. 72. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work. Yet only His plan will work. By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my only hope of salvation from my awareness. I would no longer defeat my own best interests in this insane way. I would accept God's plan for salvation and be happy. Specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. I am choosing between misperception and salvation as I look on this. If I see grounds for grievances in this, I will not see the grounds for my salvation. This calls for salvation, not attack. A Course in Miracles. Lesson 86. Review of Lessons 71 and 72. The house with two doors. There is a house that appears at the end of every thought. Not sometimes, not occasionally. Every single thought arrives there. Two doors stand before it. One door is labeled attack. The other is labeled salvation. Both doors feel real, but only one actually opens. A man walks toward the house carrying a sack over his shoulder. The sack is heavy, filled with names, faces, moments, words, things said and unsaid. Each item inside it whispers the same thing. You were wronged. He grips the sack tighter as he approaches the doors. Without thinking, he walks toward the door marked attack. It feels familiar. It feels justified. It feels earned. He knocks. The door creaks open just enough to let him peek inside. He sees movement, noise, activity. It looks like something is happening in there. So he steps in. But the moment he enters, the floor disappears. He falls. Not quickly, not dramatically, just endlessly. Falling through thoughts, through memories, through interpretations that never settle. Every grievance in the sack grows heavier as he falls. He tries to throw the sack away, but it's tied to his hand. The more he insists he was wronged, the faster he falls. The more certain he becomes, the darker it gets. Attack promised resolution, but it delivered motion without direction. Eventually, without knowing how, he finds himself back outside the house again, standing before the two doors. The sack still on his shoulder. Nothing has been solved, only repeated. This time, something pauses in him. Not a thought, not a strategy, just a pause. He looks at the other door. Salvation. It does not call to him. It does not argue. It does not prove anything. It simply waits. He hesitates, because this door asks for something the other never did. The other door said, "Bring your proof." This door says, "Put it down." He looks at the sack. Every grievance feels important. Every story feels justified. Every memory feels true. But none of them open the door. Slowly, almost unwillingly, he sets the sack on the ground. The moment he does, something impossible happens. The door opens. Not partially, not conditionally, completely. There is no falling inside this door, no noise, no argument, only light. Not a light that shines on him, a light that reveals there was never anything against him. The sack outside the door begins to dissolve, not because it was destroyed, but because it was never held by anything real. He turns back for a moment and sees the other door again, still open, still active, still convincing. But now he understands something he could not see before. That door never opened. It only looped. And every grievance was just another step back to the same place. The house never changed. The doors never changed. Only the choice. And the choice was always this simple: attack or salvation. Prove something or receive everything.
There are no exceptions to this, no special cases, no justified grievances that somehow lead somewhere different. Every grievance is a vote for the door that does not open. Every release is a step into the one that already has. Only God's plan works, because only one door was ever real.